Have you ever stopped to wonder if your children would call you if they didn't need anything? That question can hurt, but sometimes it's necessary. Many parents, especially after turning 60, start to notice a silent pattern. Their children disappear for weeks, sometimes months, and only reappear with a request, a favor, a loan, a problem. And love, it only seems to show up when it's convenient. You feel that if you weren't available, present, helpful, you might be forgotten. And even though you realize this, something inside you says you shouldn't complain. After all, they're your children. But does that justify everything? If this thought has ever quietly crossed your mind, know that you are not alone, and that it's possible to change this dynamic without breaking bonds, without fighting, and without carrying guilt. This video is for you, because you deserve more than emotional crumbs. Talking about emotionally manipulative adult children is still a taboo, but there comes a time when silence hurts more than the truth. Many parents enter retirement dreaming of more family time, more affection, more mutual care. But the reality can be very different. Instead of love, they get demands. Instead of presence, they get requests. And over time, the relationship that should bring comfort turns into a silent emotional burden. The most painful part is that no one prepares you for this. No one teaches you how to handle it when love seems to depend on what you do, not on who you are. You don't want to cut ties, you don't want to push your children away, but you're tired of feeling used, guilty, and emotionally drained. This video is an invitation to clarity and self-care. Here, we'll speak with empathy, but also with honesty. We'll say what many parents feel, but can't say out loud. And most importantly, we'll show that it's possible to regain respect without losing the bond. This isn't about attacking your children. It's about redefining boundaries to protect your emotional peace. Because loving also means respecting yourself. And maybe, by doing this for yourself, you'll also teach your children how to love in a more mature and honest way. You've spent your whole life being the foundation, the one who fixes things, who helps, who gives in. And maybe deep down you believe that's what love meant. Giving, supporting, always being available. Even when tired. Even when alone. But now after 60, the bill has come due. Your body can't take it like before. Your mind needs rest too. But it feels like no one notices. The requests keep coming. The demands even increase. And when you try to set a limit, even a small one, you're met with silence, criticism, or guilt trips. Oh, you've changed. You always helped me, what happened? The truth is, behind those words is often a son or daughter who learned that you'd always be there, no matter how you felt. And maybe without realizing it, you reinforced that over the years. Not out of weakness, but out of love. A love so big you forgot to include yourself in it. But keeping up this pillar of strength role comes at a cost. You start feeling empty, sad for no clear reason. You wonder if all this effort is worth it. If anyone sees your tiredness, your loneliness. And the answer hurts. Often they don't. Because those who always endure stop being truly seen. This exhaustion isn't just physical. It's emotional. It's the fatigue of someone who spent a lifetime caring for others, and now has to learn how to care for themselves. This is often when people begin to wake up. They realize something is wrong. That being a parent shouldn't mean giving up your dignity. And at that moment, a new possibility appears. To rebuild your relationship with your children. Not based on need or obligation anymore, but on mutual respect, where everyone is seen as adults, as human beings. And that begins with one brave step: recognizing the invisible pattern that's been holding you captive. This draining pattern didn't start overnight. It was built slowly over the years, out of good intentions, but misdirected ones. Many parents of your generation were taught to love through sacrifice. The idea was simple, but dangerous. If you love, you endure everything. You say yes when you want to say no. You give up, you figure it out, you stay silent, all to protect your children. And in the beginning, it seemed right. You wanted to give them what you never had: a lighter, safer life. And so, you raised your kids with everything you could offer. But without realizing it, something was lost along the way. By hiding your limits, you unintentionally taught them that you had none. That you could be reached anytime, for anything. That all they had to do was ask, or pressure, and you'd give in. The problem is, children raised in that model grow up with a distorted view of love. That love equals usefulness. That your presence only matters if it comes with benefits. And you, as a parent, keep trying to maintain peace, even when the price is far too high. Sometimes, that pattern is held in place by fear. Fear of losing the bond. Fear of seeming selfish. Fear of being left behind by the people you love most. But what you may not realize is that this fear is keeping you hostage. You're not living the relationship as it is, but as you wish it were. And that hurts, because every new silence, every disappearance after a favor, only makes the emptiness grow. Getting here was not your fault. You acted from the heart. You gave what you had. But now it's time to do things differently. To transform this invisible, hurtful pattern into something fairer, healthier, for you, and maybe even for them. And the first step is learning to spot the signs of emotional manipulation. They're closer than you think. Emotional manipulation isn't always loud. Most of the time, it's wrapped in affection, concern, even kindness. And that's exactly what makes it so hard to see. It begins with phrases that sound harmless but carry guilt. If you really cared, you would have helped me. I have no one else. You've always been the only one I could count on. Then come the silences. You say no once, and suddenly they pull away. Days or even weeks without contact, until the next request. Or maybe attention only comes with conditions. A favor, a loan, an urgent need. And when you ask yourself, would they reach out if they didn't need something? The answer stings. Another common sign is what we might call strategic affection. That sudden compliment, the "Dad, you mean the world to me," which shows up just minutes before a request. And you start to feel like you're not seen as a person, but as a resource. As if your value is always tied to what you can give. Recognizing this doesn't mean you stop loving. It just means you're starting to see clearly what's been hurting you. It's the first step in breaking the emotional exhaustion cycle that's gone on for years. And more importantly, it's the start of something liberating. Understanding that you have the right to set boundaries. That real love doesn't require constant sacrifice. That it is possible to maintain bonds, but bonds that respect your dignity. Because only those who recognize the pattern can begin to change it. Saying no might feel harsh at first, especially when it comes to your children. But it's important to remember, boundaries are not punishments. They are protections, for you and for those you love. For years, you may have confused love with obedience, as if loving someone meant saying yes to everything. But true love is built on mutual respect. And respect begins when someone has the courage to say, I care about you, but I also care about myself. Setting boundaries doesn't mean rejecting your child. It means showing that your presence shouldn't depend on what you provide. It's teaching, with firmness and kindness, that the relationship needs balance, that it can't all be one-sided. You can start with simple but clear phrases like, I'm not able to help with money right now. I'd rather talk about this another time. I need to rest. I'm here, but not in the same way you're used to. At first, this might feel strange. Your son or daughter might get upset, argue, or even distance themselves for a while. But don't be fooled. That reaction doesn't mean you're wrong. It just means the pattern is being broken, and change is uncomfortable in the beginning. Standing your ground in that moment is an act of courage. You're teaching, maybe for the first time, that your feelings matter too, that your energy has limits, that your peace is worth protecting. And over time, something powerful can happen. When your children realize you no longer give in automatically, they may begin to see you differently, with more respect, with more awareness, and maybe with more genuine presence. Because when you set boundaries with love, not with anger, you create space for a new kind of connection. More adult, more fair, more healthy. Saying no might push away interest, but it can also invite real affection. And more than anything, it can give you back something you may have forgotten how to feel. Peace. It's on this new ground, where there's space for you to breathe, that real transformation begins. And it may be more possible than you think. You might be wondering, what if I set boundaries, and my child walks away for good? That fear is real, and understandable. But it's also important to remember that distance isn't always the end. It can be the start of a new chapter. Take Marta, 72 years old. Widowed for over a decade, she had always been her oldest son's safe harbor. He called when he needed money, help with the grandkids, or just a shoulder to cry on. But he rarely asked, "And you, Mom, how are you?" After years of feeling used, Marta found the courage to say, "My son, I love you, but I can't keep living just for your needs. I have a life too. I have limits." At first he got angry, stopped calling. She cried. She thought she had lost him. But a few weeks later he came back different. He apologized. He said he had never realized how much he took without giving. Now they talk less often, but their conversations are more sincere, more balanced. Marta says that for the first time, she feels truly seen. Then there's Joaquim, 68. His youngest son lived far away, but only called when he needed money. Joaquim always said yes, afraid of seeming distant. Until one day he replied, "If this is just about money, maybe we should talk another time." The silence lasted months. But eventually the son called, just to ask how his dad was doing. It was the first call in years that came with no request attached. These stories show that breaking the cycle of manipulation doesn't mean breaking the bond. Yes, it can lead to temporary distance, but it can also create room for more human, more authentic relationships. And even if the other person doesn't change, the change in you is already worth it. Guilt is a silent companion for many parents. It shows up the moment you begin putting yourself first. It whispers in your ear things like, "You're being selfish. They're your children. It's your duty." What if something happens and you regret it later? That guilt didn't come out of nowhere. It comes from decades of culture, beliefs, and a distorted idea of love. The idea that being a parent means giving yourself up. Always. But here's the truth. You don't need to erase yourself to be a good mother. You don't need to sacrifice yourself to be a good father. In this case, guilt is a reflection of fear. Fear of losing connection. Fear of being judged. Fear of no longer being needed. And that's where forgiveness comes in. Not forgiveness from others, but forgiveness of yourself. Forgiving yourself for all the times you said yes when you wanted to say no. Forgiving the silence, the overgiving, the exhaustion. And above all, allowing yourself to change now, even if it feels late. You can still love your children. You can still be present. But you can and should do so without guilt, without burden, without obligation. Because when guilt steps aside, something much more powerful steps in. Peace. And in that peace, you'll find the strength to start over. In a lighter way. A truer way. Your way. You spent a lifetime teaching your children how to walk, how to speak, how to protect themselves from the world. Now maybe it's time to teach them something even more valuable. How to love with respect. And to do that, you have to lead by example. To show that real love doesn't require humiliation. That presence only matters when it's voluntary. That affection only counts when it's not tied to a favor. You're not losing a child by setting boundaries. You're finding yourself. You're telling yourself, I matter too. And that's when something shifts. Inside you. You begin to look at yourself with more kindness. And you realize that self-love doesn't push others away. It brings closer the ones who truly care. What comes after this isn't loneliness. It's freedom. And in that freedom, real peace begins. When you decide to put yourself first, something powerful happens. It's not that the problems disappear, but the way you deal with them changes completely. You stop feeling guilty for saying no. You stop trying to be accepted all the time. You stop living by the emotional needs of others. You start sleeping better, breathing deeper, having more honest conversations with yourself and with others. And your children? Some may pull away. Some may resist. But the ones who truly love you, they'll learn to respect you. You can't control their behavior, but you can control your boundaries. You can choose what you'll accept and what you won't anymore. And that is freedom. The freedom to choose who enters your life, who stays, and who only passes through. The freedom to grow old with dignity, with self-respect, and with a voice. What follows is a calmer path. Clearer. Lighter. With fewer emotional storms, and more presence. You become the center of your own life. No longer just a supporting role in everyone else's story. And in reconnecting with yourself, you finally understand. It was never about losing a child. It was always about reclaiming yourself. And that no one can take from you. If this video touched your heart, don't keep this strength to yourself. Share it with other parents who also deserve to live with respect and peace. Leave a comment below, tell your story, or simply write, I choose to respect myself. Your voice might be someone else's first step. And if you'd like to receive more content like this, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. Here, you are never alone on this journey of love and self-care.